What's up, Urban Acolyte family? My name is Prince, and I am an Urban Acolyte. And in this episode of Star Wars Chat, we're going to be talking a lot about Sabine as we get ready for the second part of this Mandalorian arc, where we're going to see Sabine be reunited with her family as she tries to recruit the Mandalorians to help the rebel crew with with basically what's going to be the season finale, where they go and attack the Imperial facilities on Lothal. And that attack may be their plans may be foiled. If you've heard about the episode descriptions that just came out from Jedi Bibliotech about the last 5 episodes of season 3, which will take us up all the way through the finale, right? So this might be a long episode of Star Wars Chats. So like I said, this is supposed to be kind of podcast style. So I'm basically gonna share some articles that I've collected the last couple of days while I wasn't recording, basically because I was just exhausted and too lazy to record. And then we'll discuss some of this. But I want to start out with an interview and some statements that Dave Filoni gave regarding Sabine back in the fall, and that is in the special edition of Star Wars Insider magazine. All right, so Dave was asked to talk about Sabine's relationship to the other characters in the Ghost Crew, and he starts out, he says, Hera's the matriarch of the whole group. She takes care of everyone, which is funny because Vanessa's a bit like that. It's like art imitates life or life imitates art. Because each of us has assumed these positions in the crew, it's the same with Taylor. He's the youngest, so we pick on him, give him a hard time, and he's always like, guys, come on. Same with Freddie. He's like the big brother, always telling people what to do and how best to do it. He's always encouraging each of us in a really sweet way. Sabine is a teenager, but she's very mature, so she doesn't feel that young, whereas Ezra's this new kid. He shows up and she doesn't have time for him. He's too young. She's 16. He's 14, so she feels like she's light years beyond him. He tries to be friendly, but Sabine gives him a hard time. They have a funny relationship where he tries to impress her, and she's like, yeah, kid, that's nice. Hera and Kanan run the show. Sabine defers to them. They call the shots and she makes it happen. And then Zeb is the brawn, but he's also very funny. He has a surly attitude sometimes, but it's all in good fun. Sabine and Zeb work in tandem a lot. She's blowing stuff up, he's throwing people around, so they have a lot of fun together. There's Chopper, who's a little misunderstood by some. Sabine speaks many languages, and Sabine and Hera are the only two who understand what Chopper's saying. She and Sabine get along quite well. It's fun to see how these relationships change, and you get to see all their backstories and how they came to be part of the Ghost Crew. Each character is part of the crew for very specific reasons. Sabine's is really interesting and pretty heavy, but once fans see why she's there, it's going to become more and more interesting to see how her story unfolds. All right, so these next 2 articles I want to share with you come from comicbook.com, and they're basically interviews that Tiya Sircar has done recently as there's growing interest in her character. And the last episode of Star Wars Rebels, where she was training with the Darksaber, and then this coming episode, like I said, where she's going to go and try to pull these Mandalorians under her to get them to assist the Phoenix Squadron as they get ready to go take out the Imperial facilities on Lothal. But in this article, Tiya Sircar is discussing the relationship between Ezra and Sabine and how that relationship is beginning to change, right? So in the last episode before the current hiatus of Star Wars Rebels, we saw Sabine and Ezra's relationship get turned upside down. No longer was Ezra the scrappy little brother looking up to Sabine's more worldly and confident persona. This time Ezra was in charge and literally had to teach Sabine. That relationship has developed quite a bit this season in particular, as Ezra has grown up considerably in the last 2 years, now a capable warrior struggling with his own dark side. Sabine, meanwhile, finally revealed her own dark past, and that should change things further as the season rolls on. Now, these comments are coming from Tiya Sircar. As I've said before, she was always the most reluctant member of the Ghost crew to accept Ezra and his joining the fold. The most skeptical and most distrustful, just from what's in her nature. Over time, that's obviously changed. She used to call him kid and basically get his goat as often as possible. I think that dynamic has shifted quite a bit in that he's a member of the family and she entrusts him with her life on a daily basis. Those matters of trust and all that stuff went out the window a long time ago. Now, when Sabine had to learn directly from Ezra as he taught her the basics of using a lightsaber, of course Sabine was reluctant at first. That wasn't necessarily because it was Ezra, just because Sabine had to learn it all. Now, from Tiya Sircar, I don't think Sabine likes to have to learn from anyone or admit that she maybe doesn't know something, particularly in this specific example. We're talking about fighting and swordplay, and she's like, what am I going to learn from a kid? It goes back to that dynamic, but I think as the episode goes on, we obviously see Sabine more vulnerable than we've ever seen her before, and probably more than she's allowed herself to be in who knows how long. Now, their relationship shifts in that moment, though, because Ezra treats Sabine with such patience and kindness and love that it makes her realize that she's being petty and she does have something to learn from him. And that's a moment Tiya Sircar came closer to Sabine. She says, I really love the shift in her finally acknowledging that and actually going through the paces with him and allowing him to teach her. I think Sabine's obviously got an ego, and I think the fact that Kanan doesn't even feel like in her eyes, she thinks that Kanan feels like she's not even worthy of him teaching her, and he gets the kid to do it. And that's a bruise to her ego, but I think throughout the course of the episode, she realizes that those are her own issues and that she needs to get over them. And her favorite moment was when Ezra stuck it to her a bit. I really loved that moment when he says, at least you've got parents to go back to. That gets me. It gets me good. And I think that really puts things in perspective for her. That was a powerful moment in that episode. You know, when Sabine is sitting on the Bendu, of course she doesn't know it. And she's going on and on about how she can't go back and face her family. And she's a disgrace and she's a coward and this and that. And she's just unwilling to, it's really her denial. She's not accepting her call to adventure, right? And she's coming up with reasons that she can't. And it's mostly because she doesn't want to face her family. And then Ezra turns around and says, well, you know, I understand all of that, but at least you got a family to go back to. All right, so we're going to jump back on the statement that Dave Filoni made towards the end of the comments that I read about him regarding Tiya Sircar, Sabine Wren's backstory being something that would be teased out over time. And this is what Tiya Sircar actually had to say about that. All right, so Star Wars Rebels fans got a special treat when the last episode, Trials of the Dark Side, aired. Not only did they get Mandalorian mythology and history, intense action, and a lot of emotion, they also finally learned the real backstory of Sabine, the Mandalorian member of the team. She didn't abandon her family, she was abandoned. She also revealed during an emotional fight with Kanan that her family abandoned her after she refused to continue developing weapons for the Empire. Weapons they used against other Mandalorians. It's a heavy bit of information, and her guilt and anger over it colors everything we've seen with regards to the character up until now. 2.5 seasons of Sabine now have a different slant. As it turns out, actress Tiya Sircar, who voices the character, had a rare gift in serialized storytelling. She knew all along. At the very moment when I think Vanessa Marshall, the voice of Hera, Freddie Prinze Jr., voice of Kanan, and I had our very first meeting with Dave and had our first recording session, we sat down and basically had a chat about our characters and a little background about each of them and the dynamic between the characters. And I think it was then, which was years ago at this point, he told me some of her. He told me a version of her backstory. Sircar told comicbook.com in an interview. I was so intrigued, and he said, we're going to get to it, but not just yet. That's going to be over several seasons. Hopefully we'll flesh this out, but this is basically what happened to you and why you're here. Of course, the actress didn't know it would be 2.5 seasons before she got to reveal what she knew. She started asking him questions right away, and he said she'd have to wait a couple of seasons. She did say the story evolved, though. The basics stayed the same. It was this huge secret that I didn't even know if the Ghost crew knew. Only half of that, what she was originally told, is now what was revealed because it was a different scenario with my family members, or which family members and what happened, Sircar explained. But the basic storyline about the weapon and who the Empire was going to use the weapon against, and that being why I left, and carrying this tremendous guilt, all of that was given to me from the very beginning. That's breaking showrunner Dave Filoni's notorious rule of not giving his actors too much of the story in advance, only providing them with exactly what we need, she acknowledged. He's so deliberate and he knows exactly what's what. So if he feels like I need to know something, I feel confident that that's what I need to know and nothing more. In this case, she said the fan in her was thinking, I want to know what happened, but she had the right amount of information for her performance. It brings more weight to Sabine's line when she gets her jetpack and her backstory starts to come out. Finally, that's for sure. So Star Wars Rebels returns with Legacy of Mandalore on February 18, 2017. Enjoying the show? Well, continue to check out my Star Wars Rebels videos. I've been covering pretty much everything on season 3, and I'm slowly going back and reviewing season 1 and season 2, just so we have kind of my commentary on those episodes. And moving forward, I'm just going to talk about them in light of the things that we currently know. So before I was trying to talk about them as if, I didn't know what was coming, but I'm going to stop doing that. And I still totally plan to review all of season 1 and season 2, but it's kind of taking me some time. I may not get around to all of that until the summer, which I think I may do. I think I'm going to wait until season 3 is wrapped up. That way we can kind of look back as we get teased things coming in season 4, possibly at Celebration Orlando in mid-April. So that'll be exciting, and it'll give me a lot of content to produce when we have no more Star Wars Rebels, once things wrap up at the end of March. But anyway, what do you guys think about all of this information that's been coming out about Sabine? Tiya Sircar saying that she's known all along Sabine's backstory, what caused her to leave Mandalore, and then this changing in the relationship, this possible change in the relationship between Ezra and Sabine. I know I've said it in other videos. You know what? I don't know if you know what I do. I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, because usually these run 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about the last 5 episodes of Rebels that were mentioned on Jedi Bibliotech and give you the descriptions. All right. So, of course, on February 18th, we're going to get the Legacy of Mandalore. That's going to be the follow-up to the Trials of the Darksaber. On February 25th, we're going to get an episode called Through Imperial Eyes. I don't know what the description is of that. The next episode after that will be Secret Cargo. The description says, when a routine refueling mission goes wrong, the Ghost crew find themselves transporting an important rebel leader across the galaxy, pursued by Imperial warships. I believe that's going to be the episode where we see Mon Mothma. We may see, I imagine that's going to be when she leaves Chandrilla and she formally joins the Rebel Alliance. Of course, she's always been part of the Rebel Alliance, but now she's the leader. Like, she is, this is what I'm doing because I'm the number 1 top dog outlaw, wanted by the Empire. And maybe maybe the Rebel Alliance has been operating from Dantooine, and we might actually get a chance to see Yavin 4 on Rebels. That'd be kind of kick-ass cool. What do you guys think? All right, next episode after that is going to air March the 11th. It'll be Double Agent Droid. Chopper and AP5 team up to infiltrate an Imperial station to steal needed codes, but an Imperial specialist turns the droids against the crew to cause chaos. So, some of y'all might call that a filler episode. I'm interested in knowing what that code is going to be, what it's for. It could be related to that mission on Lothal. That's what I would guess right now at the top of my head, that it's relating to their mission on Lothal. But we'll have to wait and see, right? All right, so the next episode after that is a big one everyone is looking forward to. Some people might consider this the actual series finale. It is going to air on March 18th, and it is called Twin Sons. Right? So reacting to a vision of Maul, Ezra defies Hera and Kanan to travel to a remote planet in hopes of stopping the former Sith Lord from carrying out his plans. So this showdown between Maul and Obi-Wan, I think, is going to end up being a showdown between Ezra and Maul. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect the continuity if Ezra comes into contact with Obi-Wan Kenobi. What could that mean? What does that mean when you basically got this kid the same age as Luke Skywalker, about 2 weeks older, and he's there on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan is going to sense him, I'm guessing, the same way Obi-Wan came into contact with the Rock, the Rock Force user guy. If you've read the latest issue of Star Wars number 28, with Yoda and these the Force Rock things. Of course, we're finding out that's a creature, so we'll have to wait until issue 29 next month. But we're gonna have to wonder about that. Like, what if Obi-Wan tells Ezra to stop being a Jedi and go do something else, right? So that there's going to be a lot of questions that may possibly be answered in that episode. All right, after that, the season 3 is going to wrap up with a double episode, part 1, 0 Hour part 1. In final preparations for their attack on Lothal, Phoenix Squadron's plans are disrupted when Grand Admiral Thrawn discovers their location. And in the second part, trapped on Autolon with the rebel base under siege, Hera and Kanan fight to keep the squadron alive as Ezra attempts to rally help from an unexpected source. And I'm wondering, what will that unexpected source be? So we've got a wild 6 weeks that are gonna ramp up Star Wars Rebels, and there's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot of questions, because I don't think that they're going to take out Thrawn in season 3. I think that Thrawn is going to make it to season 4, and they'll still be dealing with him. I'm wondering about who this unexpected ally is going to be. And if you think about the week prior, Ezra is on Tatooine going after Maul. I think that Ezra could somehow get Maul to help them. Of course, there could also be Mandalorians. Like, what is Sabine? How does the Mandalorian arc wrap up? Does Ezra pull allies from Mandalore? And then this just came to me, but this is something I've been saying all along. What if there's some other faction of Mandalorians that Ezra and Sabine managed to build, right? You know where I'm going with this. That maybe Ezra somehow assembles the Knights of Ren, and there's something else, something different from what we see in The Force Awakens. But it looks like the Knights of Ren are inspired by Mandalorians, right? That's the closest thing we've seen to those helmets, right? And if Sabine is some kind of Mandalore, maybe that's like her honor guard. And the W-R-E-N, Ren, in her last name, and Ren, R-E-N. I don't think I don't think there's a connection there as far as the spellings, but maybe there's I don't know, maybe we might find out that House Ren, maybe the W-R-E-N spelling is wrong. That would be nuts, right? What if we find out that Sabine's been she changed the spelling of her name when she fled? I don't know. That I don't like to do too many what if things. Like, somebody asked me to do a video commenting on a fan theory on Reddit, and I do want to talk about that, but I don't necessarily want to comment on the fan theory part. But there's some other stuff that's really interesting as far as Luke Skywalker and the Jedi Order that I do want to talk about. And the reason I don't want to deal with the fan theory part is because it's, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. And it's like, if you say maybe too many times, then maybe none of this shit is true, is what I start to say. Maybe none of this happens. Maybe you're all wrong. You're completely wrong. So that's all I got for this one. But let me know your thoughts on this stuff that Sabine had to share, and your thoughts on how you think Rebels is going to wrap up at the end of the season. Do you think Thrawn is going to make it through, or is he going to be a villain or a key protagonist, or antagonist in season 4? So let me know your thoughts on that down below, and tell me about anything else. If my 100-day meditation thing that I'm doing, currently on day 47, if that's inspiring you to take up meditation, if you want me to do a video and help you to get started, I would love to do that as I get the Real Life Jedi series back on and popping. Yeah, just check in with me, dog. Like, this is the Urban Acolyte family channel, so that's why it's Urban Acolytes with an S. I would love to make it Urban Acolyte. That makes more sense. But it's the S because this is a community. It's a family, right? I'm not Master Jedi. Quit calling me that fucking shit. I'm just a big brother, right? I've done it a little bit longer than some of you. And if you want to get started, I'm here to show you the path. I'm maybe 10 steps ahead, and but I haven't completed, right? This is about a journey. It's about the process of reaching the destination, right? So, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an Urban Acolyte. Use your love for Star Wars to help you make positive changes in your life and in the lives of others around you, because that's the Jedi way. Make sure to continue to support the channel. You can get you a First Steps shirt over on Teespring or TeePublic, and you can continue to check out more videos on the channel. And I'm going to get to work on my next video. So that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you always.